2,125 pounds, the A122S Rockwood A-frame, the original Rockwood A-frame floor plan that continues to be one of the best selling consistently year to year, back for another season of success here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan, with one of the first major cosmetic makeovers I've ever seen Rockwood apply to these A-frames. They've always, well, originally they had a white skin, and then they went to the Rockwood champagne skin for a long time, and now they've gone to this really sharp looking, well-defined, back to a white skin, but with sort of like a couple of the sort of Geo Pro sort of accents and feels, like with the little lines and trimmings and whatnot. And I think, especially the revised interior that we're going to see here, I think this is hands down the best looking A-frame they've ever had. Now, very little from an equipment standpoint has actually changed compared to last year. Rather, it's the decor, inside and outside. It was given a full makeover and facelift. And what we're looking at here is like the seat fabrics and some of the like countertop tones we're looking at. They're really almost borrowed straight out of the Rockwood Geo Pro segment, because people really found the modern look and feel of that camper brand to really be attractive. Still has the good looking floor tones that you've seen out of Rockwood for years, but this is their, what's it called, slate woodwork that they're using now. And it's just got such a sharp, modern edge to it. Now, this is going to be a more couple-centric camper, but it can definitely be like a buddy camper or have room for a dog or a big grandkid to come along with us. So this is obviously a great little couples camper, but we maintain the flexibility here of two large sleeping spaces that are quite long, even long enough for a guy who's like 6'2", 6'3", something like that for me here. So very good for if we have a grandkid or if you're going to do some hunting and buddy camping. With these being fully enclosed and having both an electric and propane heating system, you can really do a lot of decent cold camping in here for no more cubic foot of space than you're heating. This is obviously not intended to be some 0-degree Arctic camper, but if you're not trying to run water service in it, well, it's really not going to have a hard time keeping up with the heat. Now, you've got night shades that you can pull down over any of these skylights, and of course you see the curtains could close off these windows here for evening privacy, but kind of the same thing back here. You sort of have a choice between having that shut for privacy or having it open for that larger look and feel. Now, this is an 80-inch long bed. It is 54 inches wide, and that's one of the areas where the A122S and the A212HW are going to differ. The 212 is going to be 6 inches bigger nearly every way. It'll be 6 inches taller. It'll have a 6-inch deeper dinette. It'll have a 6-inch longer bed, so that you can sort of pick your poison. You can set your own budget and decide what's more important, the size or the comfort or the smaller, lighter weight and space, and that's why we carry them both here at Haylett RV. Now, everything that's made these a success, well, really, Rockwood's the single most successful pop-up folding camper in the marketplace. They've been that way for years. And little details like having a real window with, for ventilation in the door with a screen, the extra little mirrors, the skylights with the shades that allow 4 adults to comfortably sit at this front dining arrangement here, and, to be able to eat a meal or play cards or visit or something like that. It's all that stuff that has kind of culminated to make these guys so successful, because those things are deceptively deep. You can sit an adult right there, and your head kind of just goes into the bubble. You don't even realize how big it is. All LED lighting, and we got this big 12-volt vent fan up here for airflow. Anytime airflow, being 12 volt, it just feeds off battery power. But what's kind of nice is it's, if you're going to be boondocking, this big fan in this little space, you open up a couple of these big breeze windows like you have right here, it'll really push and pull a lot of air around in here. Now, this table here is totally free floating. So what's kind of nice about that is if you want to take it outside for picnic time and just have more of an open lounge, very easy to do so. You obviously saw how it can flip down into a sleeper. Oh, I knew I'd forget that. The little white handle down there. That is actually the heated mattress controller for the master mattress in the main bed space. Over here in the kitchen, what I kind of like about these high walls, these A-frames, by the way, is that everything is below the fold line, with the exception of those cushions. So you don't have to flip anything down, fold anything down. You don't have to take apart a sink or a stove or anything like that, like a traditional tent camper. As soon as you fold that wall down, it'll just knock that cushion down on top of the seat, no big deal, and you're good to go. And they put some big windows in this, and that's what's kind of cool. Windows are a really popular thing in campers because they make them look and feel bigger and brighter and lighter. Well, you've got 360 degrees of visibility in a Rockwood A-frame, which is pretty slick. Another thing Rockwood's done well for years is they put a recessed stovetop on here, and it's a larger triple burner with a high output burner on there instead of 2 low output burners, so you can actually like boil a pot of something, whereas low output burners really struggle to bring water up to a hard boil. This does have a gas water heater with an auto ignition, so you do get hot water out of that. Interesting quirk on A-frame campers. They don't have gray tanks, which seems weird because you have a sink right there. It's actually just a straight pipe outlet, so you're going to want to probably bring a blue tank with you, one of those little tote tanks or something like that. They do have a pop-up traditional 3-way fridge, so it is 12 volt, 110 electric, and propane, which means cold, colder, coldest, by the way. So it doesn't matter where you're camping, in a park, in a field, you've got a way to keep some drinks cold. Down here, the Dometic Cool Cat. This is a combination electric air conditioner and heater. It does both jobs. Whenever you have 110 power available, either from a park or a generator, something like that, this can either heat or cool the camper. It has to be just above freezing and just below scorching to work because it does have to be able to separate hot and cold air elements. But I've actually used one of these below the point where Dometic says it'll work, and it took a little longer to get started, but once it got going, it kind of took care of itself. I was pretty impressed with that. Basically, I think it's supposed to work, I don't remember the hard numbers, but like 34 degrees to just a little bit, like 105 or something like that, and it'll do a pretty significant job. So again, this is a heated mattress, as I mentioned earlier. You've got that heated hand controller, but then the little detail things like the little bedside sort of cargo net pocket right there to keep your phones or something, extra stuff up out of the way are handy. One of the questions I get all the time is, what's this thing? It's actually like a little clothing rack. You can hang some hangers or something on there. Although a cool storage solution I kind of thought of, and I've actually had some people try. Get one of those twisting shower curtain rods and put it all the way up here along the top of the camper when you get set up. And then you can hang stuff on it, and you can push it out of the way when you're not using it. Of course, if you're going to be, cooking bacon or something like that, you want to move the clothes away. It's an idea. It's not necessarily a guaranteed perfect solution for everyone, but maybe it'll work for a couple folks. And I like to throw little odds and ends and tips out there when I can. What's cool is you saw this in sleeper mode, or rather in privacy sleeper mode, but in non-scary private sleeper mode, because remember that these skylights are super, super tinted. People are going to have a hard time seeing you sleeping inside of here anyway. If you feel claustrophobic, if you're sleeping on the inside, you're looking up through that skylight looking at the stars. It's actually pretty cool, because it's sort of like having that more tent camping experience, but in a fully hard-side enclosed camper, which is kind of neat. And that's another neat thing on these. Being fully hard-sided and enclosed, you can take these into areas like some national parks where soft-sided tent campers and hybrids aren't going to be allowed due to wildlife. That being said, I don't tend to be a person who camps where there's super, super dangerous wildlife, but to each their own. That being said, the national parks are also beautiful, so I don't blame you. You have simple TV hookups here if you want to add a TV. You'll want to move it when you're traveling, but you can set one on top of that stand very easily. You've also got a Bluetooth stereo over here, but it has HDMI and USB power plugs on it, so that if you want to add a Blu-ray player or a streaming stick or something, you can expand your entertainment, scale it up or down to however best suits your needs. And a full microwave. And that's where one of the areas where you're going to hear me, especially outside, refer to this more as a mutant. And what I mean by that is nothing negative or derogatory, but it's kind of a mishmash between I like to think of these as a fold-down travel trailer more than a pop-up camper. Because a pop-up camper isn't usually going to have TV hookups, a microwave, an air conditioner heater combo job, dual propane tanks like this does. So it's sort of somewhere in between. And one last thing is, small campers, you want to know, where is every ounce of my storage going to be? And of course, the smaller the camper, the more critical the storage space becomes because it's such a premium object. Under the bed here, you'll actually find an inside-outside accessible storage compartment. Now, this camper right here is fresh off the truck. So the propane tanks haven't been put on yet. That's your power cable. That's the outside grill that comes with it. But to give you an idea of how big it is, even in the box. Plus, there's the little porta potty that comes included with the A122S hiding under the bed there. So tons of big storage. You've got that handy drawer under the microwave area there. And then over here under your booth is going to be a nice big chunk of space that's also both inside and outside. You've got the door here for easy interior access, but you can also lift this up to put some large objects. Like you see that these include that, there's a spare tire cover in here, you know, your jack crank, or your stabilizer jack cranks rather, and that little resin top table and battery box. It kind of throws people off because there's storage under here, but there's not storage under the opposing bench, but that's because it's got systems and things hiding under it, like your propane furnace, your converter, some other electronical type appliances and devices. And then the chunk of space right here below the sink kind of finishes off the kitchen area. So, you know, is it the greatest amount of cubic foot of space you've ever seen in a camper? No. But it's literally 100% of the possible available space has been utilized in this Rockwood. Nothing was wasted. Quick look all closed up here before we get going. One of the neat things on these is that roof rack system that you get on the A122S. And it's compatible for a couple different things. There's bike mounts, there's kayak mounts, there's several different objects that you can mount into this rail system here. But what's cool is it's factory installed, which means it's factory warranted. If you try adding something like this aftermarket on another A-frame, you're screwing into something that was not potentially designed to have a structure implanted in there, which means there might not be backers and support structures within the RV to mount anything. Since Rockwood knew that was going there, they could plan for it and add appropriate structure as needed effectively. Now I also have a really cool, unique opportunity, just due to the way that these things came in on a truckload, to compare this to the toy hauler version, the A122TH in the ESP series, which means Extreme Sports Package, which just means toy hauler package. So the skin color changes, and instead of a front storage trunk, you gain this front cargo deck right here. And I'm going to do a separate video on this camper to kind of learn more about it. Well, to share more about it with you, rather. But one of the things I wanted to look at is also to show you the little bit different decor that they have between them. Now, you can't pick and choose decors. The ESPs come with this decor. The non-ESPs come with the decor we've already seen. But kind of like how the A122S has the GeoPro exterior, this has the GeoPro interior, which is kind of interesting. But you can see that they're the same camper, the same layout. One is just a more off-road ready toy hauler edition, whereas one is more of a purpose-built mom-and-pop couples camper. So that out of the way, let me get back over here. And I'm trying to shield the camera from rain. It's just been a disappointing weather day. But frankly, that's going to be one of the best times to have an A-frame over a tent camper. It's just, you know, you're more protected from the weather in one of these. Now, we already talked about the bike rack there, and there's a good look at how dark and tinted those, what do I want to say, skylights are, so that people, again, are not going to be peeking at you while you're sleeping. Now, the S in the A122S, I can safely assume, stands for storage, and it gives you this big front storage trunk here. What I like about Rockwood is the premeditation and the full integration of that storage trunk. It's not a tacked on storage trunk that they just add after the fact. It is a purpose-built laminated one-piece jigged wall and structure. Everything is intended to be there. There's less areas where you can have bend and flex and moving parts and whatnot. These are 7 wide. So a common tow vehicle, or common any vehicle, is going to be able to see around them more easily, though as always, I always recommend tow extension mirrors just for safety. Don't skimp on safety, guys. You just spend all this money on the camper, spend the $30 or $60 or whatever it takes to put extension mirrors on your vehicle. Don't be silly that way. That's not even penny wise and pound foolish. That's just pure foolish. Now, there's a couple different ways you can build these, like power tongue jacks and things like that. We tend to reserve the power tongue jack more for the high wall series versus just like the A212 versus the A122. We figure that there's a lot of people who are looking into one of these with a more price sensitivity, and we want to reflect that for you. And unlike a 37-foot travel trailer where you have to really hand crank that sucker, this thing's so small it's just not difficult. Now you want a power tongue jack on it, you give our guys a call. If that's all that's stopping you from buying a camper, that's easy. We'll make that happen. So again, kind of the mutant thing I was talking about, double propane tanks with an auto changeover regulator, like a travel trailer. Not a normal pop-up feature. Room for extra batteries, not a normal pop-up feature, more of a travel trailer feature. Just like all the other Rockwoods, we have all LED tail and marker lighting, which is kind of cool. You know, it's brighter, safer, lasts longer, more reliable. There's the water heater right behind that front baggage compartment door right there. Again, it is auto ignition, it is propane only, and that will recharge up to 11 gallons per hour off of a 6-gallon vessel. We do have a full hot-cold outside utility shower out here as well. So obviously this doesn't have like a full bathroom or anything. It does include the porta potty. This is an area, especially if you are boondocking, where you could take a quick little cowboy shower, a military shower, just to sort of get some of the grease off your hair or whatnot. The little black box down there, that's your simple little TV hookup. And this has the same axle and suspension system as your big Rockwood signature trailers, with that independent torsion axle and suspension system there. So each wheel moves completely independently. If your left wheel moves up or down, it doesn't necessarily force the right wheel to move up or down with it. Now, under the bed, you have that big chunk of storage that we already saw accessible from the inside and outside. Under the other side, though, where you'd have to like climb over the kitchen counter to get to it, you do have this slide open storage tray. So they do make that simple. You might notice those struts on the front and rear of the, I don't know what you want to call it, the pyramid portion of the camper, the two roof sections. Those are high wind assist struts. They help you put the roof up and down a little bit. There's internal tension bars to do that, but those are there just in case on a gusty, rainy day to keep this thing from getting out of control and flipping around. Now your spare tire does have a cover included with it. Again, fresh off the truck, we haven't gone through and applied some of those things yet. And this is your Wi-Fi Ranger system right here. This camper basically has an integrated router system, you know, like a signal repeater connection point that makes accessing mobile data sources easier. What am I missing? Oh, 4-corner stabilizer jacks. Of course, I should look at the camera and realize I'm pointing at the sky and not at the camper. It's not easy, by the way, trying to think of fun things to talk about, juggling a camera and an umbrella all at the same time. There's a lot going on here. It's kind of like the weatherman with the green screen. A little more going on than I think a lot of people realize. But again, here's a look at the storage under the bed. You can get to it from inside or outside, and it does include the handy little Traveloo porta potty here. So if it is a late night emergency and it's raining outside, you don't have to go out to the camp bathhouse. You just can. Right here, this will include an outside grill and a little handy removable work shelf that would connect onto that rail. And this little compartment right there actually houses the propane quick connect. And I like how it's above the skirt line. It's protected inside the wall of the camper, as opposed to down low where like flying debris and stones coming off the wheels could potentially get to it and affect it. The bigger folding entry handle on here, kind of laughable, almost seems like overkill. And then one neat little thing I realized that they added to this one, you know, you've got a seamed door. The two pieces kind of connect and snap together, but they added a little magnet holdback on the top section just for like a little quicker, easier come and go. Just little touches like that. You know, it impresses me how Rockwood's always looking to improve on these things. But then again, it's, like I said, probably not an accident that overall Rockwood's been the #1 producer of folding campers for several consecutive years now. And you know, I'm very happy to be able to offer these products here at Haylett RV. They've certainly become by far our most successful, you know, pop-up camper brand. So that should give you an idea about a lot of things inside, outside, upside down. Now, we don't do hidden dealer fees, but we do everything else like hitching, pieces, parts, trades, financing, truck and trailer package deals, RV deliveries, and everything in between. So no matter what your needs are, we are ready, willing, able, and equipped to make that happen for you. So whether it's the non-toy hauler or the toy hauler version, we generally have them both side by side, in this case quite literally right now, here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.